Connect, capitalize, go.
I hope you're having a great day on the podcast for business. I'm your host, Eugene Rowe. Make sure you make your way to the website at hombabiz.com, HOMBABIZ.com, and sign up, connect with us on our free newsletter. We help you discover your number one asset and how to use it to live the life that you want.
All new Radio for Business.
It's the podcast for business.
After that, I'm not doing people's lunch dishes.
Highlighting the best emerging talent.
Oh my God, all these people that have gotten the product have wrote up on it. That's amazing.
The podcast for business, live every weekday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern.
If I think positive about the results, only positive results are going to come to me.
You never know what you'll hear.
If we didn't have that foundation, I don't think I would have had the balls. Well, I don't have balls, but
hey, you can say it. We're on the internet. It's okay.
Okay, I wouldn't have had the guts to do that.
Connect, capitalize, go.
Now, this next guest is an award-winning journalist who's eager to tell stories in a way that captures a variety of audiences while also shedding light on important issues facing our world. She started her passion in journalism as an anchor for the morning news announcements in 5th grade. Ms. Gabrielle Dawkins, thanks for taking your time out on the podcast for business.
The pleasure is mine. The pleasure is mine, Eugene. How are you?
I'm just great, thank you. And what part of the world are you in now?
I'm in Central Georgia, Macon to be exact.
Macon, Georgia.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So about, an hour 15, hour 20 minutes away from Atlanta?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about you, your background in college, and how you got to where you are now.
All right, sounds good. So I grew up in Hollywood, Florida. It's about 15 minutes away from Miami. I went to school there. I got my first interest in media in 5th grade. I was kind of a weird child. I would go around recording my grandparents and recording my mom with like a little tape recorder and taking pictures of them, and that interest just continued to grow. And so in 5th grade, I had the opportunity to either be a morning news announcement personnel for 5th grade, which is something, it's a small start. It's just a great start there. Or you could be a security guard, a 5th grade security guard. And from there, I chose to do media. And it was kind of, in that aspect, it was kind of advanced because we had a green screen. We learned how to operate cameras.
In 5th grade, really?
In 5th, I know, right? In 5th grade, you wouldn't even believe. It was really advanced for our age. And so that interest continued on to middle school, and in high school I decided that I wanted to do something different, which is optometry, and go into the science field. I quickly found out that was not the route for me. Those science classes were definitely difficult, but going into college, I went to Florida A&M University and studied broadcast journalism, and there I was able to acquire the skills in writing, in reporting. I was an anchor for News 20 at 5, which is an on-campus news station, and we went live 3 days out of the week to over 80,000 households in Tallahassee.
Wow.
I had the opportunity to work alongside with Cumulus Media with an internship there, WMAZ-TV, Eyewitness News. I worked for Sirius XM Radio. And I even took some time off from school, about 6 months, to go up to New York and do an internship for Viacom, which is one of the 6 media conglomerates in the U.S. And so with those experiences, and study abroad too, in China. Sorry, I missed that one. But with those experiences, it kind of, led the way into what I'm doing now, which is reporting in Central Georgia for WMAZ Eyewitness News. So those skills and everything that I've learned within production, within being behind the scenes, in front of the camera, reporting and covering different stories and different angles, and having that eye for, news and media and what to look out for, that has definitely prepared me for where I am right now.
We're talking to Gabrielle Dawkins, award-winning journalist, graduate of Florida A&M University. Use those social share buttons. Share this audio with your family, friends, and network. So, Gabrielle, you came out of Florida A&M University, broadcast journalism. I didn't mention it, but I went to FAMU for a while. Is the broadcast journalism school still in Tucker Hall?
Nice. Okay, so I'm speaking to a rattler.
Yes, you're speaking to a rattler. I went there. I left. You graduated. So there's a difference, okay?
Okay, that's fine. But you're in media, so that's all that matters is that you learned something and that you're applying it to your everyday life right now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So talk about what it took to transition from the college world of broadcast journalism to being a professional and doing this on a daily basis.
Okay. So while I was at Florida A&M, you had to pretty much balance your time. So you had 5 or 6 classes, but you still had to turn a package a week, which is nothing compared to us turning a package every day along with the VOSOT for the 5 and 6 o'clock newscast.
And the package is like a story or something like that, right?
Yes, a package is a minute 30 section of video. It includes interviews and B-roll and pretty much, the anchor lead, the anchor tag, what the information is about, and we add that in. So for our newscast in college, we had to do one of those a week. In the real world, we're doing one of those a day. Yep, and sometimes we are, fronting that package or that VOSOT live on air, so we have to make sure that everything is in at a certain time and that, our managing editor reads through it and that he's okay with whatever we put out there and that all of the information is factual. Now, that's the same across the board, whether you're in college or you are a professional. You want to make sure that you have your facts straight. But the main thing that I have learned while being a reporter now is having time management. That is a huge deal. Sometimes, you want to get that person on camera for the interview because they're the best person to talk to that person about that specific subject. But they might, not be available till 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock. Now that will kind of put you back a little bit because, you have to write your script, you have to edit, you have to do all of these things. So you have to literally say, well, can I get everything else in order so that I can do this interview at that time and then rush back to the newsroom and get everything done and then front it live?
So wait, Gabrielle. You got to tell me.
Yes.
You mean on TV where they make it look like there's a makeup artist, somebody to do your script for you, somebody to go get your coffee, somebody to actually put together your video. You mean that doesn't actually happen in real life?
Well, we're doing it. We're doing it. That's the reality of it, is that we're writing the scripts, we're shooting the video, we're doing the interviews, we're making the calls on our story, and we're putting that out there for people to consume. And for a lot of people, that's how they consume their media, is through social media. You have to put that on social media and through web stories and on air. So you have to get that information out as quickly as you can because people want to know. They're clicking. They're trying to find out information. So you have to definitely let them know as soon as you get the information.
Wow. And you said something major about time management because news doesn't wait for you to be available. And news doesn't go into your regular day. What happens when the news is off schedule and you have to make it happen?
I'll give you a prime example. There, a few weeks ago, we had a Lamar County missing woman. Her name was Lori Williams, and she, was missing for some time, for a few days, and they found, the sergeant from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, they found her iPad deep into the woods, right, and they found her car there. So I wrote my script for the 5 o'clock newscast, and everything was ready to go. I was going to front a VOSOT, which is a soundbite or an interview from someone, and let people know that they're still searching for this woman. They're trying to find her body. About 10 minutes before the 5 o'clock newscast, I get a call, and one of my sources called me and said, we found her. So now the whole script that I just wrote and put together that has to be rearranged. It has to be just a new script, pretty much. I let my managing editor know exactly, what happened, what information I found out. We need a new script as soon as possible, and you have to be ready and versatile enough to get that out there as soon as you can and front it live. I was at the top of the 5 o'clock. So right at 5 o'clock, like literally it's the show open and Gabrielle Dawkins live. And you have to be ready to say that information and say it correct and say it in a way that people will understand. And so that's one of the major things. You have to be versatile and quick and able to adjust in those moments.
We're talking to Gabrielle Dawkins, award-winning journalist, right here on the Podcast for Business. Use those social share buttons. Share this with your family, friends, network. We know you're going to love it. Now, Gabrielle, I'd like to ask this next set of questions to really get an insight into the way the guest thinks. So the first question is, which would you say identifies you more, results-oriented or process-oriented?
I think the process drives the result, if that makes any sense for you. When you said that, are you result-oriented or process-oriented?
Right.
If you have a structure in place and a process where you're thorough, you check everything, you have certain steps that you do, then it will bring about great results every time.
Okay.
And so I think it's a mixture of both, if I were, to answer you the correct way, the way I just thought of it, I guess.
Sounds good. So I think I know the answer to this next question, but when it comes time to make major decisions, which do you prefer more, official data or simple opinions?
Can you repeat that one more time? I want to make sure I understood that correctly.
Okay, making a major decision in life or maybe even at the job, which is more important to you, official data or opinion, just simple opinions?
I think I guess I would lean more to data, but certain major decisions don't have data to back it up, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, let's just say, for example, you're going to move somewhere. Sometimes, you might find out the information as far as, like, the living cost or, how many people are in that area, and, you can see certain things. But that's a major step. You don't necessarily know what you're going to get into.
Mm-hmm.
There's no data to back that, but you have to just go with your gut feeling.
Gotcha.
I would say. So I'm sorry if I don't have a specific one.
Actually, I think gut feeling is actually even a better answer, because no matter how much somebody can have passion about their opinion and no matter how recent the data is, you're the person that has to make the call. I think that's actually the best of both worlds. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Right. I do.
Okay. So, and I guess my last question is, what drives you most to do what you do today?
Oh, man. What drives you most? Every day when I wake up, like, I just know that there is a greater purpose in my life. So what I'm doing now, I feel like is a stepping stone to where God is going to lead me in my next chapter in my life. So right now I'm gaining the skills to learn about people and to interact with people and become more familiar with interviewing styles and become more familiar with how to put together stories, how to make things happen. And it's almost, this is like a purpose-driven movement throughout your life. You don't know exactly where you're going to go next, but at the same time, it's just like in God's hands.
Wow.
If I were to put it in any specific way, it's almost like, and I'll give you a better example. Throughout my life, when I was 18, 19, 20, I will always try to be the person, the mastermind in what I was doing. Oh, I need to figure out my next step. Oh, I need to know what's going to be next. I need to plan everything. But there's this quote, and I don't know exactly where it came from. I wrote it down while I was reading something. It says, you don't need to know how it's going to come about. You don't need to know how the universe will rearrange itself. The how is not your part in the creative process.
Ooh,
I think sometimes
quote of the day.
I think sometimes in this generation we have a microwave society mentality sometimes where things are supposed to come about as soon as you want it, or as soon as you think you should have it, you should get it. And that's not always the right way. It'll come about when you need it, and when that time comes, and you just have to be patient for it. And that's one of the biggest things that I'm working on now is patience.
That's the quote of the day. The how is not your part in the creative process. Miss Gabrielle Dawkins, would you like to give the listeners a way to find out more about you?
Yes, for sure. You can follow me on Facebook at Gabrielle Dawkins, WMAZ. Also on Twitter at gabrielled_WMAZ. Follow me, find out what I'm doing, find out what I'm covering. It's always an interesting story every day, I promise you. Some of the things you won't even believe what I cover. But just go ahead and like the page and follow me. And if any, aspiring journalists want to learn anything about the field, I don't mind giving you all, some tips on what I've learned along the way. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Gabrielle Dawkins, thanks for taking your time out on the podcast for business.
Thank you.
All new, connect, capitalize, go.